Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode. Today, we are talking all about the roller coaster that is sales. There are highs, there are lows, and I'm going to walk you through exactly what they are, how I have been managing them, so you can get to know what it's like if you want to work in sales. And if not, that's fine because there's highs and lows in everything. So I'm sure there's something that you'll learn from this. Let's get into it. Oh, where do I even start? Sales is a roller coaster. It's probably just the best way to describe it. And it's a roller coaster where you're not kind of like going up for a while and then you like go down. We're talking like constant whiplash of like high, low on the daily. And when I first started working in sales, people would always say to me, it's like personal development on crack. It's such a common saying in the space. I used to think personal development on crack. I wonder why it is such an experience like that. Like, what about sales makes you develop better as a person? Originally, what I had thought was, okay, maybe it's just because you're faced with challenges and learning a new skill. And so that comes with an element of personal development. But what I have realized is that because there are so many highs and lows, because the conversations that you need to have, the most successful people in sales, I think, in my opinion, are the people who have done the most work on themselves. They are the ones who have put in the effort and the work to become the best version of themselves. Because when you are someone who is disciplined and you have a skill set and you are a good person and you are a positive person and you have empowering beliefs and you're not this fucking negative Nancy who just sits in like doom and gloom victim mindset, like they are the people who are really successful. There's common debates in the industry about, is sales all about skill set or is it all about mindset? I think that it's a big combination of both. There's definitely a skill set that you lean on when you work in sales, but your mindset is everything because there are highs and lows. Everything fluctuates. Everything is so unpredictable. And if you don't have the mindset to be able to deal with that, then you're probably not going to last long. So I feel like it's definitely a combination of both. But this episode is all about, okay, what are the highs? What are the lows? And how do you manage those? And from my experience, I talk from working in the industry for 11 months, so almost a year. I know that working in education for the years that I did, my experience level, my knowledge in the space really grew as time went on. So I know that my experience and what I know about this industry is in the early days. And I know that in years to come, I am going to have an even better skill set, an even better mindset, because I will be evolving as I go. But what have I experienced and what are the highs and the lows? Well, if we start with the highs, in remote sales specifically, so what I've trained to do is to be a closer. And so what a remote closer does is they are someone who works for businesses. So I contract myself to businesses to sell their product or service. And so what businesses will have is people in the team who do marketing, who allow for people to come across their business or service, put their details in, show interest, and book a call to talk with someone about the product or service. The person that they book that call with is with me as the closer. So I'm kind of like the last step in the process. So to know, or if you've ever been in a sales process that I typically am a part of, if you've ever gone online and you've come across a business or a product or a service and it says, click here to put in your details and someone will call you. That's a sales process. If you go on to something and it says, fill in your details, learn if you are qualified to be a part of our program or to have our service or whatever it is, fill in your details and book a call with someone. If you book a call with someone, it's probably a closer, someone who is in the sales process. And so what we do is we work for businesses to close deals. We talk with clients, we see if it's a good fit, and we sell them into the product or service if it is a good fit. And then you earn commissions from that. With that, you typically will choose your hours. Because you're a contractor, you usually will negotiate with the business owner and say, okay, the business owner will say, hey, I need someone for 20 hours. I need someone to be able to take 20 hours worth of calls per week because I've got a lot of people who are interested in my product or service, but I don't have time as a business owner to talk to these people or to sell them into the program or service. So I'm going to hire you. Most businesses actually like full-time hours from contractors and sales contractors, because at the end of the day, I work commission only. So if I work commission only and I can be available full-time, that just means more opportunity and revenue for the business. So usually it's full-time, but there are some that will ask for part-time. So they'll say to you, okay, come on full-time. Here are the KPIs that you need to meet. So key performance indicators, it'll be that you need to sell a certain amount of people, or you need to talk to a certain amount of people, and you need to hit those targets. Otherwise, they're like, yeah, you're no good. We need to get rid of you. So usually you will have KPIs that you need to meet, but the business basically says to you, as long as you meet those KPIs, I'm good. As long as you get the amount of revenue and sales that we need for our business, then you can work whenever you like. So that's when people open their calendar to take these calls whenever it suits them. Now, there's a couple of things with this. If you work for a business and you open your calendar at 5 o'clock in the morning, that might not be suitable for the clients that are coming to that business. So usually, you'd be wanting to work during the day or maybe into the evening. So it's not as simple as like, well, I'm going to work at 5 a.m. and definitely have an opportunity to speak to people, or 10 o'clock at night when the kids go to bed. It really depends on the clientele that are coming through. But you get to choose your hours. So that is absolutely a high of the industry, in that you choose when you work, which also means that for whatever reason, if you want to go on a trip, go and travel, you can just close your calendar for that day. Obviously, keeping in mind you've got KPIs to meet. It's good practice to let the business know that you're closing your calendar for that day for whatever reason. But you're a contractor. You can do what you like. As long as you are meeting the requirements of what they need you to do, you close it off. So if you want to do a 3-day long weekend, you want to take Friday, Saturday, Sunday off, close your calendar, and then just open up a little bit more earlier in the week to allow for the KPIs that you need to meet. Like, that's just one example. But you have pretty well full autonomy. Now, some businesses, they are a little bit more strict and want you to have set hours and things like that. That's okay. If you don't want to work for them, don't work for them. But you're mostly choosing when you work. It allows for that flexibility. Now, because you're also working remotely, you're working from your laptop, it's not a matter of, oh, hey, I'm heading home for a week, or I'm heading on an overseas trip, or I'm going here for 3 days. I need to take time off work. You're not working in a physical space. You just need a laptop. You can blur your background if you're standing somewhere bizarre. I saw a girl online the other day who went to like a Woolies Metro and just like blurred her background. There was obviously space somewhere for her to stand and have her laptop, but she took a call in a Woolies Metro with the blurred background and her headphones on. Like, this is how remote and flexible it is. So me, for example, I like to travel home and go and see friends and family from back down in New South Wales. I don't need to request time off. I don't need to ask for permission. I can just, if I really want to, I can actually close my calendar for that week and I just say, hey, I'm away for the week. It's not like I need to meet KPIs every day. It's usually like averages over weeks or over months. Now, I'm not going to like take the piss and do this every fortnight and close my calendar, 2 or 3 weeks out of the month. Like, you have to be realistic with it. But for the most part, that's what you can do. So what I'll do is when I go home, I usually go home for like 4 or 5 days, maybe a week, I will just do less hours and move it around depending on what I've planned for when I go home. I'm usually spending time with my family during the day, so I might take some calls in the evening. Or I might do a couple of hours in the morning and then block it for the rest of the day while I go and do things with them. There's so much flexibility in that, and it is honestly a high. It's amazing. Now, another big high of the industry is the money. The money is a big thing for people, because when you work in the remote sales space, you're working commission only for the most part, and you earn anywhere from 8 to 15% of the offer or the product that you're selling. And in the high ticket space, high ticket is usually anywhere from $5,000 upwards of the multiples of tens of thousands in a service. So if you're selling on a $15,000 offer and you make 10% commission, you do an hour of a sales call, you can make $1,500 in an hour. And yes, there's a lot of things out there, advertising, marketing. Let's just remember, it is advertising, it is marketing, it is designed to get you intrigued and thinking and excited that you can make $1,500 in an hour. And yes, that is the reality. You can do one sales call and earn a couple of hundred up to a couple of $1,000s from that one call. But it's not like you're doing 40 hours of calls and getting 40 sales and making 40 grand in 1 week. I mean, if you're in a really, really high ticket offer, I mean, who's to say you can't make 40 grand a week? But that's my point. It's not happening all the time. But that's definitely a high in that you can choose when you want to work. You can be away somewhere, holidaying, work a couple of hours, make a couple of $1,000s, and then you're done. That is the high of the industry. That is what people are sold into in working in this industry. Because who wouldn't want to do that? Who wouldn't want to work a few hours, make a few $1,000s and have flexibility? I don't know anyone who wouldn't want to do that. With those highs, that doesn't happen all the time. So this is where the lows come in. There are trade-offs for everything. And the biggest trade-off and the biggest lows are when those things aren't happening. And when those things aren't happening, it can feel really hard. It can feel like, shit, when is my next sale coming through? Or how do I cope with being in a part of a sales process that I'm really struggling with and I'm getting a lot of pushback from clients on? Like, there's so many lows that come with those things not happening. A great example of that is when you're not making money. Because at the end of the day, you are relying on a client being booked into your calendar for you to get on a call with them to make a sale. There are so many factors that come into that person saying yes and handing over money. It's not as simple as they book in, you've sold them, you've made the money, and you're on your way. Sometimes businesses will have low periods where they're not really getting a lot of people through the door, for example. There are periods of time where things are really good. January, for example. If you work in any industry, January ramps up for everyone, whether you're selling something or not, because it's the start of the year. Everyone's feeling good. It's a fresh start. Everybody feels like they're going to do all these things better and differently than they did before. And so everyone's really hyped and the energy's there and things are hot. So if you work for fitness, for example, everyone talks about it's good to be on a fitness account in January because everyone's like, new year, new me. So if you're selling weight loss programs or coaching or anything like that, you've got a lot coming in. So you've got a lot of people to speak to, a lot of opportunity to be making money. You make a lot of money. So you're in momentum and you feel good and it feels good. And so that's a high point. But then there are also low points in the industry or in the business where there's not that many people coming through. I worked for a business where during the summer, it was a US company, during the summer over there was a terrible time for this business, for this service, for this offer, because most clients were traveling. The types of clients that we sold to were very high value, wealthy people. And so during the summer, they were not thinking about the service that we were offering. They're gallivanting out and around Europe. So when I first started working for this business, earlier in the year, things were hot. It was great. It comes into the middle of the year when it's summer over there and there's barely anything. So it's that low period of like, oh, like it was great here, but it's coming down. And that's where, further to my point before, in that, yeah, you can make $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 an hour, but that doesn't happen all the way through. And so you go on this roller coaster. You go on this roller coaster of like really high days or months and really low, and it goes up and down. So it's not consistent. And I think that's where the low point is, the inconsistency, because as humans, we like things to be predictable. We like to know what's happening. We like to be able to control things so we feel safe. And so when you're in an industry where it's a constant roller coaster of, yeah, there's clients, no, there's clients, yeah, there's clients, no, there's clients, it can be really, really tricky. Now, the other lows that come with sales is that you, as a person, getting on a sales call, your energy, how you communicate with people is a huge part or a huge contributor to sometimes the outcome on the call. The words we say, I'm pretty sure I'm on point here. The words we say only make up 7% of communication when you're interacting with someone, which means that your energy, your body language, non-verbal things that are happening are actually doing more for the interaction than the words that come out of your mouth, which means that in order to do what you need to do, to be a good salesperson, to have the skill set, to come in with the right energy, you have to be in a good headspace. We are humans. We have emotions and they fluctuate. And so you have to be able to show up regardless of how you feel. You might wake up and feel like absolute dog shit. You might be off the back of days and days of no sales, and you have to get up, you have to show up, and you have to be able to do what you need to do. Because you can go through periods of time where you're not making sales, where things are just off. There's a multitude of factors that come into why you're not making sales. And then you have to be able to pull yourself out of that. And when you're in those really low periods of no sales, this is where all the doubt creeps in. This is where the self-talk can be really, really heavy. Am I cut out for this? Am I any good at this? You start to beat yourself up. I do anyway. Like if I get to the end of a sales call and for whatever reason it doesn't go through, and this is something that I'm learning and that I'm working on, is that I have to be able to detach from that. Because if you can't detach from the outcome, if you can't detach from the fact that somebody said no and be able to put it on them, that they said no, that's on them, that's not on me, that's not an easy thing to just fall into. It's not an easy thing to just go, oh, okay, don't be attached to the outcome, I'm on my way. It's hard to not be attached to the outcome because this is your livelihood. It goes back to the commission only. So yeah, it's a high. You can make a couple $1,000s an hour, but it's commission only. And if you're not making any money, then again, you kind of get attached to the outcome and not making money. So you can understand how it's whiplash. It's whiplash of like things are good, things are not so good. Things are good, things are not so good. When people say sales is personal development on crack, it absolutely is, because this is the reality of working in the industry. And being able to manage and push through those times is crucial. And that's why a lot of people quit, because they get to the first speed bump or roadblock or whatever it is. They get to their first streak of no sales. They're like, I'm not cut out for this. I want to quit. But what I've realized is sales being a roller coaster, the highs and the lows, is that you've got to go around that roller coaster track a few times to get used to the fact that there are highs and lows. If you go on your first lap around a sales journey, let's say the first year of the roller coaster, the first lap, you do the first lap, you need to do another lap before you then realize, okay, here's a high and here's a low. I know what this feels like. I know what to expect. You've got to keep going through the laps to be able to then get to a point of like, okay, I know what the highs feel like. I know what the lows feel like. I'm good. Because people tell you before you get into the industry that there are really high highs and really low lows, and that information makes sense to you. Whether or not you feel it and believe it in your body though, and you can just accept when it's a low time, this is just a low time, it's fine, it'll pass. In the moment, it's not that easy. Oh my goodness, it's not that easy. And I think that's where sometimes people come undone with anything, right? Anything that's a roller coaster, anything that's hard, anything that has ups and downs. We get to the first down and we go, fuck it, I'm out. Because we can't handle it. We can't handle the pressure. We can't handle the low point. But like I had said in an earlier episode, I was talking about the transition curve. If you haven't listened to that, go back to that one. That the moment it gets hard, don't be that person who quits. If you've worked in remote sales for 6 months and you're like, it's not for me. What do you mean? 6 months is really not that long. Here I was thinking that my time in the industry had been a long time, and now I reflect and I go, you know what? I've only been here for 11 months, not even a full year. When I first started teaching, my first year of teaching was horrendous. When I look back now, the way I used to teach, the way I used to manage behavior, it took me a good couple of years before I really had it under wraps. So it's something where you can't quit after the first few months. You really can't. if you come into this industry for a reason, if you come into this for the highs of choosing your own hours, making good money, having flexibility, you've got to stick it out a little bit longer than 6 months. Honestly, you do. And so with highs and lows, I think the biggest thing that I've learned is that there is always a trade-off. Okay, if you want to work in this industry, if you want to work anywhere where there's highs and lows in everything. You just have to work out, is the trade-off worth it to you? So for me, when I look at it, I think, okay, I do choose my hours. That's awesome. I do get to go to the beach during the day if I want to, and it's a hot day and it's beautiful, and I work in the evening. Great. I do have an opportunity where I can make good money in a shorter period of time when I jump on those calls. Yep, fantastic. What's the trade-off? Well, there'll be periods of time where there's no leads in my calendar. There are periods of time where I get back-to-back no sales. There are periods of time where I'm going to feel like I'm doing really well and I've got the skill set and I'm really at that elite level, and then something will happen and it'll kick me back down a few pegs and I'll be like, shit, I've got so much to learn. The trade-off to me is worth it, because even though I've had some really low lows, would I want to give up on the opportunity that I have and the flexibility that I have? No. I really don't want to. So what would be my advice? I think like anything, you have to give things a bit of time. If you're thinking about coming into this industry, or if you're starting something new, you've just started a business idea, you've got to give things a bit of time. You got to give things a bit of time. You've got to go around the roller coaster track a couple of times to actually get to know what it's like to then be able to make an informed decision. Is it for you or is it not? The highs and lows of sales, I don't think they're ever going to end. I don't think I'm ever going to get to a position where I'm like, oh yeah, I'm good, I feel content. Because there are just, there are constant highs and lows. And there are things that pop up and you go, oh, I haven't dealt with that before. And it's usually to do with the people that you speak to. You think that you've spoken to all kinds of people, all walks of life, and then someone says something to you or something happens and it triggers a whole new response, or you realize something that you come across something you've never heard before and you're like, okay, here we go again. It's kind of like Brooke, who my mentor told me everything I know. She talks about new level, new devil, in that every level you get to, it's like you're starting from scratch again. And because you have perfected the level before you, you're good, and then you get up to that next level and it's like, okay, next devil to bloody go after. I know people listening to this work in sales. I know people listening to this do not work in sales. They just know me and they're listening. Or maybe you're someone who is stuck thinking about doing something different. Maybe you're considering getting into remote sales. So I'll leave you with this. There are trade-offs with everything. If you think about the situation that you're in at the moment, what are the trade-offs? Is your happiness the trade-off? Are you miserable doing what you're doing because you want something that's safe, secure, and, not really the roller coaster highs and lows of sales? If you're happy with that, fantastic. If you want something different, if you're thinking about doing something different, there will be highs and lows, there will be trade-offs, but as long as you can sleep at night knowing that you're okay with the trade-offs, then you're good. You're good. That's my take. See you on the next one.